What's going on, buddy? My name is Eason. Welcome back to another video. And today we're getting into Unit 2 for AP Computer Science A. So Unit 2 is going to extend our programming outside of the main method, which is what we did in our Unit 1 video. There's a card above the video. If you haven't seen that one yet, I recommend doing it because we're going to be using some of the stuff in there in Unit 2. So yeah, we're going to be using different classes, and we're going to be making objects. We're going to be doing really cool things with our strings, and we're going to be doing math. I know everyone loves math, so yeah, that's what's going to be happening a lot in this video. Now we're going to get started with classes and objects. So 2.1 and 2.2, where we are now, because we're at the start, is going to be focused on classes and objects. So we can see here I have main.java, so we're going to have a main class, and in our curly braces is going to be all of our methods and fields and the main method and our print statements and all of that stuff. And there's some words in there I just said you don't know. You're going to learn them. And on course.java, if it'll load, we have the course class. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making objects, course objects, and our course objects are just going to be different courses, and each course is going to have a teacher, a name, and the number of credits you're given, and that's going to be one object is going to have all of those different values to it, which is really cool, because a class is a formal implementation or a blueprint of the attributes and behaviors of an object. So take a mouse, for example, a computer mouse. If we were to have different fields for our computer mouse, different attributes of it, we could say the brand name. So whoever made your mouse, that could be a string. If it has a scroll wheel, that could be a boolean. The double could be its battery life. And those are all different fields that make up the mouse object. So we're going to be making course objects. Now first we have to make our fields and our constructors for our course class. So very cool. So let's make our fields. So our fields are basically variables, and these are going to be the different variables that make up an object. It's going to be the object's attributes. So we're going to set these to private, and I'll explain why we're doing this in Unit 5, because that's kind of a build off of this unit. So we're going to set these to private because it's a course attribute. We don't want to be able to change these in main.java, change the values and all that stuff. We don't want to write a constructor for it in main.java. So we're going to set them to private, and then we're going to give it a variable type, so string, and then let's give it a name. So we're just going to do the name of the course, and then we're just going to end it there, and we're going to give the value to null. When we don't assign a value, it's going to be given null. The keyword null is just a special value used to indicate that a reference is not associated with any object. And the memory associated with a variable of a reference type holds an object reference value, or if there's no object, null. The value is the memory address of the reference object. I know a bunch of jargon, but I'm just reading off the CED that you have to know. So yeah, let's write another one. Let's do private string. We're going to give the teacher. We'll do private double, and we'll do credit given. Very cool. So now we have our fields, and it's underlined because we have not used these fields. And Java is really cool because it underlines variables that you don't use at all in your code, and that way you can just get rid of them because they're not being used. Very good for organization. So now what we're going to do is that we are going to write our constructors. And constructors initialize the values of our fields. So to write a constructor, it's kind of like writing a method. So in our main.java, our main class, we have a main method. So we have public static void main, and then we have a pair of parentheses, and then our curly braces. And a constructor is very similar. We're going to write public, and we're also going to give it a name, but the name is going to be the file name. So to write a constructor, name is just going to be the file name. So course, then our pair of parentheses, and our curly braces. And our curly braces, everything in between there is going to be what is a part of our constructor. And like I said earlier, constructors are going to initialize the value of our fields. Now, this constructor is going to have nothing in its parentheses, so yeah, that's very cool. And all of this is considered the signature, and the signature consists of a constructor name and the parameter list, and that's what this is. The parentheses, the parameter list, and I'll explain that with our second constructor. So our first constructor, all we're going to do is just not give them a value of null. So we're just going to give name equal to a value of just nothing. Same thing with teacher, just a pair of closed quotations, and credit given is just going to be 0.0. Remember, it's a double, so we're going to have a decimal in there. And there we go. We just had our first constructor. Now, we can go and start making a course object, but I don't want to do that just yet. We're going to write another constructor. Now, constructors are considered overloaded when there are multiple constructors with the same name, but these constructors all have to have a different signature. So let's write an overload constructor. So it's same name, public, course. Now it has to have a different signature, a different parameter list. So what we're going to be doing is we're just going to put in some parameters. And parameters are when we call our constructor, when we build our object, these parameters is what we're going to give a value to our object. So we're going to give the name of our course. We're going to give who the teacher is. We're going to say how much credit is given. So we're going to do all of that with our parameters. So we're going to do string n, string t, and we'll just do double cg. So when we call this constructor, we're going to give string n, which is going to be the name, and assign that to name. And then we're going to do t for teacher and give that to the value of teacher. So teacher is equal to t, and then credit given, same thing. So credit given is going to be equal to CG. And then we just wrote our overload constructor. Very, very cool. So now what we're going to do, did I spell credit given? No, I didn't. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that we are going to write objects now. An object is a specific instance of a class with defined attributes. So it has its own unique features to it. And every object is created by using a keyword called new. Now I'm going to show you that in just a second. So first we got to call the class that we want the object to be made of. So course, then we're going to give the name. So we're going to do course 1, and then we're going to do equals, and then we're going to put in our new. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put in our constructor, and a class contains constructors that are invoked to create objects, and they always have the same name as the class. Existing classes and class libraries can also be utilized as appropriate to create objects. So now let's write new course, because we're writing a new course. This makes it kind of easy. And then we just called our first constructor. How do we know it's our first constructor? Well, if we go to course.java, as we can see here, our first constructor has no parameters. And here, we did not give any arguments, any values or any attributes to our first constructor. So that's how we know which constructor we're calling. In Unit 5, we're going to be doing this a ton. But in Unit 2, we're going to do something different. We're going to call our overload constructor with the parameters. And these values that we're given in our parameters are called arguments. So we have a name for our course. So we'll do AP Computer Science A. That'll be our name. Then we have the teacher. So the Eason, I guess. You can do whatever you want. And then the credit given if you take the course 1.0, because this is a year-long course. And then boom, we called our overload constructor with the 3 parameters in that order. You have to do it in that order. And yeah, so we gave the name, the teacher, and the credit given. So what Java is going to do is it's going to give the name, AP Computer Science A, and assign it to the name field. The teacher, the Eason, to the teacher field. The credit given 1.0 to the credit given field. And all of that. Now, we're not going to, in this unit, print out the name or the teacher. That's all Unit 5 stuff. Here, I'm just teaching you what these objects and classes are. Now, let's make some more. We do course, if I can type today, course 2 is equal to new course. Let's do AP Computer Science Principles. I'll do the Eason again. This is usually a long course, so give a 1.0 credit. Let's do one more. Course 3 is equal to new course. Let's do AP. I'll do comparative government because I also have that on this channel. I teach that on here, but that's usually a semester-long class. So instead of 1.0 credit, we're going to do 0.5 credit, and it's a double, so we are allowed to do that. So maybe doing your own coding or FRQs and MCQs, and you have to make a constructor or fields, and you're given what you need to make a field. So let's say you need to make a field for money. I recommend using a double because, you know, we have maybe $3.54. So use doubles so you can get access to those decimals. And even if you do a double in an FRQ by accident, or you're just rushing and you see something and you think, oh, that'd be good as a double, and really you need to return an integer, you can always use our casting, which we learned in our last video on our Unit 1 stuff. So casting a double to an integer. So you can do all that. And yeah, that is 2.1 and 2.2. So we just did courses, not courses, classes, and objects. Very, very cool. Okay, so let's move on to 2.3 and 2.4 now. I think we could do that, right? Yeah, exactly. All right, so what we're going to do for 2.3 and 2.4 is we're going to be doing void methods. What is a void method? I can see we have public static void mean. What does that actually mean, though? A void method doesn't return a value. So we don't see me returning 3, and it's going to print out 3 or do something with 3. I'm creating objects. I can print things. I can call methods in my void method, my main void method. We're not returning a value in particular. So let's head over to course.java and let's write a void method. So here we have course. So let's write public void. And what we're going to do, actually, I'll do static void. Static's very, very cool. And we're going to give it a name. Let's do teach. And we're not going to put any parameters in. And all this is going to do is it's not going to return a value. It's going to print out teaching ... And what makes this different from a constructor? Well, one, constructors aren't void. Constructors also don't return a value, so methods in constructors are a little bit different. It's just kind of reassigning a value. A constructor initializes the fields, and we're not initializing a field with the teach method. All we're doing is printing out teaching. Now, let's call the teach method. Let's say we want to teach. So what we're going to do is that we're going to call it like our constructor. We're just going to do the name and then our parentheses. Now, we're going to get an error when we do this. Why? Because it's in another class. It's in course.java instead of main.java where we're calling it. So what we need to do is that we need to associate this kind of with an object. So let's say course 1 is teaching. What we're going to do is we're going to do course1.teach. And then what it's going to do now is it's going to say course 1 is teaching. Except it's just going to print out teaching because that's all we said for it to do. So now it's printing out teaching. And we could call this bajillion amount of times, and it's going to print it out a bajillion amount of times. And how methods really work, especially if they're non-void, is that they're going to return a value in, not non-void. What methods are going to do if they are void or non-void, they're going to basically disrupt the flow of your code to do whatever it needs to do. So if we had 20 different lines of code in our teaching method, once the program gets to our call, it's going to stop the main.java stuff and do everything that the teach method is going to do before resuming the rest of our file. So if we print something out after the teach call, it's going to print it out after we call the teaching method. So that's just something that you need to know. So yeah, let's write one with a parameter. And this is just going to have nothing to do with course. So what we're going to do, we'll do public static void, and we'll just do cost. Maybe you have to pay for a course because this is really bad. Or just pay for the AP exam in general. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a parameter to it. And what we're going to do is we'll do an integer parameter. I know I said double for money, blah, 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 blah. But in this case, we can do an integer. And let's just say integer C for cost. Make it really short and simple. And you can share parameter names throughout all your methods, which is very beneficial because they're not real variables. Basically, that's how I say it. So public static void cost, and what we're just going to do is that we're going to just do a print statement, and all it's going to do is it's going to print cost plus C. So what it's going to do is just going to make a print message. When you give in the cost, it's going to say how much the cost is. So let's call this method. So let's do course 3. Let's say the cost for an AP comparative government exam is going to be $96. So all we're going to put in is an argument for 96. So we're going to say the cost is 96. Now, if we put 96.0, we would get an issue because it has to be the same value. So that's something to point out. And of course, like our constructors, if we had multiple parameters, our arguments would have to be in the same order. Parameters are when we make our method. Arguments are when we call our method. Just clearing up some stuff, covering all my bases here because I don't want to have a confused student watching. So we're going to run this. And it's going to do the teach method, of course, because I have not commented it or removed it. And then it's going to print the cost 96. If I wanted to print $96, have the dollar sign, well, all I got to do is go to my string in my print statement and add the dollar sign in there. So now it's going to say cost $96. Very, very cool. Now, what if I wanted to do this in my main method? Well, let's write a method in our main method. So let's write if a course is available or not, or school's in session. How about that? So let's do public static void. Let's do in session. And then what we're going to do is we're going to print out a line statement, print line statement that's going to say school is in session or something like that. And what we're going to do to call a method in the same class, all we got to do is just call it. So we'll just say in session. And there's no parameters, so we don't have to have any arguments. And when we run our code, it's going to work perfectly. So it's going to print out teach, and it's going to print out the cost of $96, and then it's going to print out that school is in session. And yeah, void methods. Very, very cool. And we're going to be working with these a lot in this course. And same thing with constructors. Methods are said to be overloaded when there are multiple methods with the same name, but a different signature. So let's try that. Let's do another one actually, and I want to kind of experiment that. So let's do public static void in session again. Now the signature does have to be different. That's where our parameter list comes in. As you can see, we're already getting a little bit of a duplicate method here. Let's do a string t. Now, even though we have stuff in our method, it's still going to give us an error. What if we made this? Sorry, no, we're not going to get an error because we have different stuff, different parameter signature. It's going to not give us an error. So let's say we have to do something with our string t. School is in session. T could be a boolean. So let's say t. So it's going to just print out some random things. So if we print it out in session again, and we gave it a parameter, it has a different signature, it's going to call our second one. So let's say our string is going to be true. And it's not going to print out as a boolean. This is a string because it's in double quotations. So it's going to print out teaching, cost $96. School is in session, and it's going to say school is in session, true. Boom! So we just did void methods. Now let's do non-void methods. So 2.5 is focused on non-void methods. So the difference between a void and a non-void method is non-void methods return a value that is the same type as the return type in the signature. So if we make a non-void method, let's say public integer, actually let's do static because we're going to put a print statement. Let's do static integer. Then we're going to write the name sum. Now, this is different from a void method because 1, we didn't write void, but 2, we gave a data type here. And this data type is what's going to be returned. So we're going to return an integer in this method. Very, very cool. So when we call a sum method, we're going to find the sum of 3 values. So we got to write parameters because we have to have 3 numbers to add the sum up to. So let's write 3 parameters. We're going to do integer num1, integer num2, integer num3. There we go. Now we have 3 parameters. And what we want our method to do is just find the sum of these 3 values. It's not that hard. So what we're going to do is that we are just going to make, let's do a variable. Let's do integer sum equals n1 plus n2 plus n3. And we're just going to return sum. Now if I call the sum method, what's going to happen? What is it going to do? Let's see. Because we didn't say to print something, it's not going. Oh, we didn't even give it any arguments either. Yeah, one, we're gonna have an error because we didn't put any arguments. But because we didn't like put a print statement, or it's not a void method, it's not going to print anything. It's not going to do anything because we returned a value, and return is not the same thing as print. So what do we do now? Well, what if we want to print the sum? All we gotta do is put a print statement, system.out.print, and we're just gonna print the sum. So we're gonna call the sum method. We're gonna give it 3 values. Let's do 10, 20, 30 in our arguments. And then now it's just going to print out the sum. So 10 plus 20 plus 30 is 60. I gave it a comma after there. Not supposed to do that. Now it's going to print out 10 plus 20 plus 30. And that is 60. And all it's going to print out now is 60. Very, very cool. All right. Let's do, I want to change this to a print line because we're going to call something later. Actually, no. It's fine as a print statement. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just write another non-void method. One more. So let's do public static. Actually, I don't think we need static. No. Let's try it without. Public double sum, and we can return a string, a float, a boolean. It doesn't matter. Let's do public double average, and we'll do the same parameters. We can do the same parameters. That's all good with Java. And all we're going to do is we're going to do let's do another integer sum. We can call another sum variable. That's perfectly fine. And then we'll do integer average. Actually, double average is going to be I should probably make this double sum as well. So we're going to do double sum equals that. Double average is going to be sum divided by 3. And this is going to return AVG, average. So let's get an average of 10, 20, 30. So average of 10, 20, 30. I'm calling the average method. I have my 3 arguments in order. Num1, num2, num3. I'm getting an error because I forgot my semicolon. Debugging is so fun in Java. I highly recommend it. It's good for the brain. And now it's going to give me another error because I hate these. Yes, it has to be static. I told you. Alright, yeah, it's static because we are doing stuff with it. We're printing it. Yay, exciting, I know. There we go. Now we're going to get our 20. What if we just said return 5? What happens if we just return 5? We get rid of that average? Well, it's just not going to mind the code, and it's just going to return 5 as a double because it's a double non-void method. If we return average again, actually, what if we do return sum divided by 3? We get rid of this whole average variable, save some code space. It's still going to return the average 20.0 because it's still returning a number. What if we removed all this code? What if we did n1 plus n2 plus n3? We did the sum of that, and we did that divided by 3. So I had to put it in parentheses because of PEMDAS. We learned that in Unit 1 video. So what if it just returns that? Is it going to print out 20? Let's see. Yes, it is. So we just saved so much lines of code by just returning the math equation. We saved 2 lines of code. I know it's not that much, but it adds up over time. Look how many lines of code Siri is. So yeah, that's just one way to do it. Yeah, very, very cool. And yeah, that is 2.5. Non-void methods. I love non-void methods. They're really, really easy compared to void methods. All right, so let's get rid of all of these methods. And then let's move on to something really, really cool. Okay, so we're going to move on to topic 2.6 now, which is really cool. It's on string objects. So how do we make a string? You're probably going to say, let's write string. I'll indent that, make it a little more neat. So let's write string. Then we'll give it a name. Let's do option 1. Let's say we're making a menu, and we'll put pizza. All right, boom. I just made a string right here. There's another way we can do that. So that way is with the string class. And string objects can be created by using string literals or by calling the string class constructor. So here we use the literal. And now we're going to call the string class. How are we going to do that? So we're going to do string for string class. Then we're going to, of course, give it a name. So let's do option 2. And then instead of just giving the string literal, we're going to put new, like it is a new object. Then we're going to do, oh my gosh, we're going to do the class name, string, and then in parentheses, our argument is going to be the string. So let's say burger. And there we go. We just made a string object. Let's do another one. Let's do option 3 is equal to new string. We'll just give it the same value as option 1. And all we have to do is put option 1's name in here. So this is going to have the value of pizza. Very, very cool. Let's write some prices. So let's do double price 1 is equal to 12.50. Let's do double price 2 is equal to 10.50, and double price 3 is equal to 13.50. Okay, there we go. What we're going to do is we're going to make a string. So let's not use the string class. Let's just make a string. And we'll call it pizza, because we don't have a string named pizza yet. We have a string with the value with pizza, but we don't have a string named pizza yet. So we can do this. So we're going to do string pizza, and we're going to have it equal to option 1. But I want it to display option 1 plus $12.50, or $12.50 for option 1. So how can we do this? Well, we're going to do option 1. Then we're going to basically do a plus symbol. This is not an integer or double. It's not going to do any math. It's just going to kind of add it together to form one big string. So we're going to do option 1, then plus a space. We'll do a $sign at the end of that. And then we'll do plus price 1. So when we print out pizza, it's going to print out option 1 plus $sign plus price 1. So here we go. So it's going to say pizza, then a space, then $12.5. And it's not going to point out 0.50 because it's a trailing 0 and it doesn't need it when we print it out. So, yeah, very, very cool. What else can we do? Let's do option 3, which has the value of pizza. Let's do option 3 plus equals. Wait, we can do this? Yes. And it's just going to add on to the string, make the string bigger. So we're going to do option 3 plus price 3, if it ever types. And then what we're going to do is I'll reprint pizza again, because we're going to need to do something with that. And then we're going to print out, I cannot type this evening. Holy snap. Then we're going to print out option 3. Very, very cool. So let's print that out. So we're going to have 2 lines, because we have 2 print line statements. So it's going to print out pizza, $12.50, and then it's going to print out pizza, $13.50. Now, where's the $sign? Where's the space? Well, I didn't actually add a space in there. I just added the price. So it's not going to assume there's a space in there. So it's just going to add it all together with no space whatsoever. So that's just something to keep note of. Now let's add what we call escape sequences. And escape sequences start with a forward slash and have a special meaning in Java. Now the three that we need to know for AP Computer Science A is the first one is going to be the new line escape sequence. The second one is to print out quotation marks, and the third one is to print out forward slashes because we get syntax errors when we try to do that. So let's print out a new line. So what we're going to do is we're going to do pizza plus in parentheses /n, and that's going to do a new line. So we're going to now print out 3 lines in our console. So as you can see here, we have 3 lines because of that. If we added a /n and then 1, 2, 3, it's case sensitive, so we don't need to add the space there. It's going to print out 1, 2, 3 on that second line. If we did /n space 1, 2, 3, then it's going to print out a space and then 1, 2, 3 on the next line because it is case sensitive. It's not going to register space there. So when it loads, you can see we have a space there. So that's just something to keep note of. What if we wanted to add a pair of quotation marks around pizza on line 1? So let's go to pizza, which is our variable name. What we're going to do is we're going to put another pair of quotations. Remember, all of these escape sequences is going to be within close quotations. So we're going to do / and then we're just going to put 1 quotation, just 1. If you have an IDE that adds the second one, delete it because you don't need it. And then we'll put it at the end here as well. And then it should print out our escape sequence. Double quotations. It's getting me an error. There's probably like so much stuff going on here. I need to add my plus here, my assignment operators. Yep, there we go. Debugging. And then now it should work. And then it's going to work. Yeah, see, so we have our quotation marks here because of that escape sequence. Okay, let's do the last one. And we're just going to make another print line statement. So this is going to be our 4th line. And actually, I'll just do print. We don't need the print line. And we're just going to do in our close quotations //. So what's this going to print out, you may ask? Well, we have a / and then a /. So it's going to just print out a / for us. So in case you ever need to print out a /, this is how you do it. Very, very cool. So yeah. We just learned about the string class. We just learned about escape sequences. The string class is part of the java.lang, the lang package. Classes in the java.lang package are available by default. You don't have to download anything. A string object has index values from 0 to length -1. In attempting to access anything out of this range will cause a string index out of bounds exception. And a string object can be so yeah, all of that stuff. And that is the end of the video for 2.7. And yeah, that is that. 2.7 is going to be up next. So we just finished 2.6. Yay! Awesome, exciting. Now let's move on to 2.7. I'm going to remove all of this hard work, and I'm going to clear this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to print the old way. Actually, no. We'll just do all of this with the string class. How does that sound? It sounds exciting, doesn't it? So we're going to be using string methods and constructors. I know they have methods and constructors for strings, and this stuff includes cutting out specific parts of the string, finding the length of the string, finding where a certain letter is, comparing our strings, seeing if they're equal to one another, all of that fun stuff. Now on the AP exam, if it's still up to date, it will give you a reference sheet, and that's going to tell you what all of them do. Now you need to know how all of these constructors and methods work. So that's what I'm going to do in this video for 2.7. Okay, so let's write a string. We're going to call it Dad. We're going to make a little family. We're going to do new string Harry. We're just going to use the stuff we learned in 2.6. And we'll do a mom string. So we'll do string mom equals new string. Stephanie will be her name. You can name her whatever you want. Then we'll do, okay, I'm just going to undent all these because it's really being a biscuit. So then we're going to do string brothers, going to be equal to new string Thomas will be brother's name. And then what should sister's name be? I know what sister's name should be. Sister's name should be Kira within E before I to make everyone mad, especially if you're an English teacher. All right, so we have our family now. Yay! Now let's print out we'll use our first string method. So let's print out the length of dad's name. So all we're gonna do is when we print this out, we're gonna do dad.length, and then a pair of parentheses because it is a method. So we're gonna do system.out to print line length of dad, and it's gonna be plus dad.length. So when we print this out, it's gonna say length of dad and then 5 because dad is 5 characters. There we go. Now if we add a space after the Y here, is it going to be 5 characters? No, it's going to be 6 characters because within our closed quotations, it's going to count the number of characters. So we have 6 characters. We can actually store this as an integer as well. So we could do integer L equals dad.length. That works as well. And you could print L, but I'm not going to do that because that's a lot of work. And I don't need to store the variable. I can just print it out so easily. So yeah, that's one string method. Another one is going to be index of. So let's show you that one. So let's see, is there many? Let's do how many E's. We'll just do E. Is in brother's name. Should brother be capitalized? No, brother's name. Okay, so let's find how many E's are in brother's name. So what we're going to do is we're going to do brother dot index of, and then we're going to put E, small e, in quotations. And if we look for large E, we'll look for RG, but there's probably going to be more small e's if there is any at all. So let's do this. Let's run this. We're going to still see dad's length, name, and we're going to see how many e's are in brother's name. Now there is no e's in Thomas, no lowercase e's because it's looking for lowercase e's. So it's going to return -1. So that's just something to keep note of. Now let's do someone who does have e. Now how many e's are in mother's name? That's very formal. So let's do mom.index of, and we'll do lowercase e again. So when we run this, it's going to count. Okay, so we see 1 e here and 1 e at the end. So it's going to print out 2 e's in mother's name. And it's not printing it out. Let me clear this and try this again. Da 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 da. Come on, code. You got this. It's not going to work, is it? Your program is always running. Here we go. How many E's are in mother's name? 2. So there we go. It works. Yay, exciting. Okay, now let's do a substring. The substring is just a sub part of the string. It's going to be a certain part of the string. Not all of it, just some of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put dad's name back to the characters, back to 5 length. So we're just going to do that. So we're going to do system.println, and we're just going to print the end of dad's name. So we're going to do dad.substring. This is all lowercase. And let's start at character number 3. Now, is character number 3 the first R or the second R? Why would it be the second R? Well, programming languages are really, really, really weird. And Java is one language that counts the first character as element 0. So this H is going to be element 0. Really weird, I know. So this is going to be the second R is where it's going to start. So 0 is H, 1 is A, 2 is R, 3 is R. And since it's a substring, it's going to start at R and then print out the rest of it because there's only one parameter. So it's going to print out RY. Very, very interesting. Now what if we wanted to print out the start of a name? We don't want to print out the whole name. So we have to use 2 parameters and 2 arguments. So let's do start of brother's name. So we're going to do brother.substring. And let's start at 0 and we'll just print 2. So we'll just do 0, 1. So it's going to print out the first character, which is really element 0. And then to the first character, it's not going to do that because I spelled system wrong. Uh-oh. So system.out.println. Now it's going to print out the substring. Yay. T. And it's not going to print out 1. It's going to stop at the H. So with that second argument, it's not going to print it out. So if I say 02, it'll print out TH, but not the O. If I said 03, it would say THO, but not the M. Yeah, I know. Weird. I really recommend just experimenting with all of these. Let's do another one. Let's do the middle of sister's name. Kira's name. That was weird. Okay. So we'll do sister.substring, and let's just do 1. And what should we stop at? Let's do 3. Actually, let's do 4, because it's not going to print out the 4th one. So now it should print out EIR. Will it? Maybe. Yes, it will. Ha ha ha. Awesome. We could do also, instead of 4, we could do just 3 plus 1. So if you wanted to just do that for whatever reason, maybe you're doing a loop or something, or a method, you could do 1 and then 3 plus 1. It does the same thing as well. It'll do the math for you. So that's good to know. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to compare for this little section. We're going to still do more of this video. So let's do compare mom to sister. So we're going to do mom.compare to is capitalized T, and then we'll just do sister. So we're going to compare a whole variable there. Yay. So it's going to look for differences. And how many differences are there? There's 8 differences. So it's going to look, is the first letter the same? No. There's no other letter in the same place that's the same. The second character is different. The third character is different. The fourth character is different. The fifth character is different. And hey, all the other characters are different. Who would have guessed? Okay, that's crazy. What if we did sister.compare to mom? Let's try that, actually. What's it going to do? Is it going to print out 8 as well? I don't think it will. No, it's going to print out -8 because sister's name is smaller. So it's going to print out a -8. Okay. Let's do a new string. We're going to call it friend, and it'll also be named Kira. So it's not going to be sister. It's just going to be the same name as sister, not friend. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to do the compare to method again. So we're going to do compare sister to friend, and we're going to do plus. Let's do sister.compare to, and then we'll do friend as our argument. Now, since they are exactly the same, there's no spaces in there, it's going to print out 0 because there's no differences. 0 differences. We had a space at the start of friend's name, so space Kira. Or if it was a lowercase k, it would also say there was a difference. And now it's going to say 43. There's some differences going on there. So yeah. And then let's do one more. So let's do system.out.println friend. I'm not even going to write the string. We'll just do friend.equals sister. So if it's the same, what's it going to do? Since Kira and Kira, same letters, same capitalization, is equal to another, it's going to print out true. So it's going to print out a boolean. If we did mom.equals sister, they're not the same. So it's going to print out false. Awesome. Very, very cool. And that's the end of 2.7. So yeah. Alright, so yeah, so let's move this out of the way, because we're going to do more math. Yay! So we're going to get into 2.9 now. I actually already filmed this, so let me just clear that. Okay, we'll get to that shortly. So, what we're going to do is we're going to use some math, and we're going to be using the math methods. So we've done string methods already, now we're going to do math methods for 2.9. Now, why are we skipping 2.8? 2.8 just covers integer and double objects. I don't want to go over that. It's a waste of my time. It's the same thing with strings, just with integer and double. So, let's write an integer. Yay, you guys should know how to do this. Integer a equals -5. Yes, we could save them. Now, let's print the absolute value of this. So we're just going to do math, which is our class, our math methods. Then we're going to do the dot operator, since all the math methods are static. And then we're going to do what method we want to use. I could have a ton of them right here. And we're just going to do ABS for absolute value. Since it's a method, we're going to put a pair of parentheses. And then we'll do a, because that's the number we want to find. So we're going to find the absolute value of a, the absolute value of -5. And all absolute value is just the positive version, basically, of a number. So if it's absolute value -5, it's going to print out 4. We can also reassign the value of a to a equals math.abs absolute value of a. We can reassign it. So when we print out just a, it'll print out the absolute value of itself. So it's going to print out 2 lines of 5 is what it's going to do now. Because we reassigned it, it's no longer going to print out -5. Awesome, cool. What about a double? Let's do double b equals -2.0. Let's print out the absolute value of a double. Since absolute value is an integer, method, what will it do? Well, I will show you. So if we find the absolute value of negative 2.0, it is still going to return 2.0 positive because it is double. Very, very cool. Now let's do another one. Let's do system.out.println. Let's print out the power. Let's do print out b to the 5th power, or 4th power. Let's do b to the 4th power, or let's do a to the 4th power. How about that? So let's do math.power. No, POW for POW. It's gonna be a little bit shorter, kind of like absolute value is a little bit shorter. We only have 3 letters, so POW, and then we want to do a to the 4th power. So it's just gonna be a comma 4. So when we run this, of course, we're going to see our 5, 5, 2, and then our 4th line should have a to the 4th power. So 5 to the 4th power is 625. What if we did a to the negative 4th power? Now, if we did this on paper, it would still be 625. So is this still going to be 625? When we do Java? No, it's going to give us a decimal. Ha 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 ha. So yeah. It's going to find, I believe, the 4th root of this. So if I get out my calculator and figure that out, I can tell you. Yeah, we're going to get an answer that is not cool. So yeah, that's we're not going to do that. No, not happening. What if we want to find square root? So let's reassign b, and we'll just do the square root. Actually, we can't do that. We have to do math.sqrt for square root of b. So negative 2 times negative 2. What's going to happen when we print this out? So let's print out b again. So we're going to get our 5, 5, 2.0, 625 again. And then we're going to get our square root of b. What's it going to print out? Yeah, so you cannot find the square root of a negative number, so we're going to get an error. If we did the square root of math dot absolute value of b, and then we reprinted out b, that's not why I wanted to put b, then it'll give us a square root. So the square root of 2 is that number 1.41421356237309151. That sounds like a robot. So yeah, square root, very, very cool. Let's do a random integer. So let's say we want to create a random number. I'll remove all this. We don't need it. So let's do integer random equals new. Actually, we don't have to do that. Let's do math.random. Since it is a method, we do have to put the parentheses, and we'll do times. Let's do a number between 1 and 10. So we're going to do times 10, and we'll do plus 1. And we want to get a number between 1 and 10. So I'll just show you what this does. I have to put it in between my parentheses because of PEMDAS. Now, what happens when I do this exactly? It's going to get us an error because math.random is a double math method, so it's going to give us a double value, so we have to cast it, and now it'll give us the integer version of it, so it's always going to round down. And yeah, no error, we didn't print it out. What if I just want to do a random number? Well, a random number is always going to be between 0 and positive 1, so if I print out random, it's going to give us 0 because 1, it's an integer, so if I print out random, sooner or later it'll print out 0. What if I print out the double version of this? So if I do double random, I know, spooky. Well, we're going to get an error because it's casting as an integer. So let me stop this real quick, and then I'll restart it. So double random equals math.random. It's going to give us a number less than 1 but greater than 0. Really long number here. So if I wanted to do it between, let's say, 11 and 20, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. So 11 and 20. So what we're going to do is first we're going to subtract 20 plus 11, 20 by 11, and we're going to get 9. Then we're going to add 1 to that, so we're going to get 10. So we're going to multiply math.random times 10, and of course put that in our parentheses. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to add the smallest number, the minimum number, so 11. So our minimum number is 11. 20 minus 11 is 9, plus 1, that's 10. So now we are going to get a number between between 11 and 20. And we got 18. Let's run this again. We're probably, let's say 15. Maybe we're going to get 15. Maybe 19. Yeah, close enough. So it's less than 20, but greater than 11. So, yeah, and we could get 20. If we made this as an integer, it would round down. So we could get like 20.2 if we had this as a double. So if we wanted to be less than 20, we would have to do this to times 10, I believe, as plus 10. But that's actually going to lower it to a number between 10 and 20. So, yeah. Very, very cool. And I highly recommend you screw around with this. Let's do another one. Let's do a number between, let's do 16 and 44. So 44 minus 16 is 30, no, 16, I'm doing like really bad mental math. No, 28 is what it is. So we're going to add 1 to that, and we're going to get 29. So we're going to multiply map.random by 29. And then we add it by our minimum, which is 16. So now that we've done this, we're now going to get a number between 16 and 44. 33? Oh, I was close! Okay. 33.8. This would actually, if this was an integer, it would round down to 38. So that's very, very cool. Let's do one more, because this is actually our last one, by the way. Let's do a number between 155 and 231. What are we going to do? So we're going to do 231 minus 155. That is equal to 31 plus 45. So 76. Yes. So 76. We're going to multiply it by 76. Our minimum is 155. So we're going to add 155 to it. And this is probably not 76. I'm just really stupid. So, yeah, 222, that's between 155, 231, we'll do it 2 more times, 188, 190, okay, close, 201, 193, okay, so yeah, that is how you do math.random. This one is probably the hardest one out of all, and they're not really hard at all, to be honest with you, and yeah, that is the end of, 2.9, that's the end of Unit 2. Actually, so go check out Unit 3 if it's up. Go check out Unit 1 if you haven't learned that. I don't know why you haven't. There's more Unit 2 videos, more AP Computer Science videos. Go check this out. Please like, subscribe. It's free. It really does help me out. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.